Welcome back to the channel. I'm that Scottish nerd that brings you Pokemon trading card game content as well as gaming videos. In today's video we have an expanded deck which allows you to knock out any opposing Pokemon in one hit. That is of course Raticate here, so if you enjoy this video at any point and want to see any of my future content, be sure to subscribe down below, leave a like and a comment leaving your thoughts on today's video. Let's get straight into the deck profile as well as some battles. Taking a look at the main attacker of the deck here, we have Raticate from Boundaries Crossed. It has the Super Fang attack, and for 3 colourless energy we're able to put damage counters on the defending Pokemon until it has 10 HP remaining. This means that no matter how much HP the defending Pokemon has, we're able to reduce it down to just having 10 remaining. And all we have to do is find a way so that we can get that last bit of damage going into their turn so that we can knock it out. And the best way to do this is with poison. So we have a bunch of supporting cards here, the main one being Ariados, and its ability allows us to poison both active Pokemon, but it doesn't work if it's a grass type Pokemon. Now we don't mind getting poisoned because we're not going to be knocked out, but if our opponent's poisoned and we use Super Fang on them, then that's going to mean that they're going to be knocked out going into their turn. So even if you're looking down and a Eternatus VMAX with 340 hit points, we're going to be able to knock that out going into your opponent's turn and take 3 prize cards on it. To supplement this, we also have 3 copies of Hypnotoxic Laser. Again, this instantly poisons the defending Pokemon and also has the chance to put them to sleep, which isn't really a big deal since we're going to be knocking them out straight away anyway, but in the early turns if you have to make use of this and you don't have your Ariados up just yet, this is a great way to poison the defending Pokemon, or even if you're having a couple of bad cards and bad draws at the start of the game, you can use this to put them to sleep. Of course, to cover the 3 energy attack cost, we have triple acceleration energy, so we only have to attach this energy once and we can start attacking with Super Fang. We do lose the energy at the end of our turn as it has to be discarded, but that's not a problem because you're going to be looking to take 2 or 3 prize cards depending on what your opponent is playing. And we don't mind getting rid of this since we do also have ways to recover it in the expanded format in the form of Special Charge, which we'll get into. Going back to our Pokemon here, we have Rattata. We have this Rattata from Evolutions as it has the ability here, Mischievous Fang, and it allows you to discard a tool card attached to the defending Pokemon when you put this Rattata into play. This can be nice just to get rid of any irritating cards that your opponent may have on their defending Pokemon, especially stuff that prevents special conditions, but for the most part it's just the most optimal Rattata to be putting into play, as all of the other attacks you're not going to be using them, and the HP on all of the Rattata are pretty similar, ranging from 30 to 40 hit points. Moving on to the other Pokemon here, of course we have the Spinarak, so that we can evolve into that Ariados, but again we don't really mind which Spinarak we use, and we've just gone for this one since it has a retreat cost of 1. Going along we have a Jirachi here, 2 of these Jirachi with Stellar Wish, so that we can get some good trainer cards in the opening turns, as well as being able to just set up our deck in general since we have a lot of trainer cards for setup. We also have a couple copies of the Jirachi EX here, and this just allows us to search out a supporter card if we have a bad start once again, and it also has 90 HP, so we can easily search it out for free with Level Ball. And again, the 1 retreat cost is great in order to combo with either the skateboard or floatstone that we're playing. And then for some additional support we have Remoraid, which evolves into Octillery here with Abyssal Hand, allowing us to draw until we have 5 cards in our hand, just ensuring that we have that potential draw every single turn so that we can keep a good hand size and always ensure that we have energy to attach turn after turn. Again, this Pokemon, along with all of the Pokemon in our deck, have 90 HP or less, and that's going to allow us to use Level Ball here, which lets you search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, as I said, and we have 4 copies of these since it is a free search and allows us to get out any of our Pokemon. We also have 4 copies of Nest Ball, again getting out free search, picking a basic Pokemon from the deck straight onto the bench, and we also have 4 copies of Pokemon Communication. So really the key in this deck is consistency, maxing out all of the cards that are going to give us that consistency, and this allows us to put the Pokemon that we don't need right now back into the deck and search out one that we do need. Going back here, we have the Dowsing Machine as our ace pick card, just in case we want to reuse something like a Hypnotoxic Laser, or even anything else like a supporter card, or say the Sacred Ash here that we have. If some of our Raticate get knocked out, or if we discard them with a Professor's Research, we can use Sacred Ash to shuffle those back into the deck. And then we also have Special Charge, as I mentioned. This allows us to shuffle any of our special energy back into the deck. Thirsty Seeker, getting us our supporter cards that we need. We have a couple copies of Cynthia. I was playing N when I first built this deck, but opted to use Cynthia instead, because once you take those first couple of knockouts with the N, you're just going to be hurting yourself, and the Cynthia gives you the guaranteed 6 cards every time that you use it, and you don't really care about altering your opponent's hand, since you're just set on your own game plan of getting knockouts turn after turn. Again, we have 4 copies of Professor's Research, the best draw that we have available to us, so we want to max out all copies of that to make use of it. And then finishing it off with the tool cards, a couple copies of a Skateboard for the Jirachi and Floatstone for everything else, mainly the Octillery, since we do have a 2 retreat cost on the Octillery. But everything else, with the 1 retreat cost, we can make use of the Skateboard, and especially with the Jirachi, using that Stellar Wish in the opening turns gives us some great setup. This is a very consistent build of the deck, and there's certainly some other cards that you can throw into if you so desire, such as Pokemon Ranger if you want to counter for that Altered Creation GX attack on ATP, and maybe some other tech cards that you could throw in here, but certainly I've tried to make it as consistent as possible to get Superfang off as quickly as possible on the second turn when you're able to evolve into Raticate. And you're going to see here in these matches that we can take some really big knockouts on our opponents. So let's go straight into that. If you do enjoy the video at any point, be sure to give it a like. We're starting off this match with the Rattata in our active position, and it looks like we're against some sort of Pika ROM deck. That very strong full blitz attack so that they can accelerate energy, and then of course go into Tagpult GX in order to take multiple prize cards as they can snipe damage onto the bench. However, that will only give my opponent 2 prize cards if they go that route, and we'll be able to trade them with them very nicely as we can take 3 prize cards on their tag team. They do get the Tapu Koko setup, very nice. And they also have the Rose Tower here, so if we ever get down to low enough hand size, we can use this as well to draw 3 cards. We'll start off our turn with the Nest Ball here, so we can search out our deck, see what Pokemon we have available to us. Looks like we have both of our Octillery, all of our Ariados, we have a 1 Jirachi prized, we also have both of our EXAs, we have a Remoraid prized. Looks like we've prized 2 Rattata, which is a little concerning, and we'll have to see if we have our Sacred Ash in the deck, which we do. We also have all of our energy bar 1, so that is fine, we can work with having 3 energy. And just trying to decide, I think we'll go with the Jirachi here, so that we can retreat into it and use Stellar Wish, since we're not going to be able to attack on this turn anyway. So we'll play down our tools. And we do have the 4th energy in hand, so I think we'll go with the Cynthia here just to protect that energy. And we do have multiple special charge, but just making sure that you are able to keep the energy around is going to be useful. We'll retreat this Rattata and use Stellar Wish here. See what we can get into, most likely going to be some sort of Ball Search card. That would be great for setting up our board a little bit more. We do get the Nest Ball as I predicted, and we'll use this to, I think, get down perhaps a Remoraid here that will allow us to continue to draw cards. We could use Dowsing Machine again to use the Nest Balls, but just holding this hand for the following turn is going to be good enough. My opponent shouldn't have any way of knocking out this Rattata on the bench unless they go for some sort of Guzma play and they have the energy on the Pikarom, but I feel confident enough here given their hand size and the board state that we should be in a reasonable position to keep this Rattata around. And then hopefully our opponent puts up their Pikarom to start using the full blitz attack, and as soon as they do that we'll be ready to go in. Just looking for that Hypnotoxic Laser so that we can get the first bit of poison damage into play. My opponent does have the Lightning Stadium, the Thunder Mountain Prism Star Stadium, which allows them to reduce their attack cost of lightning attacks anyway by 1. They also use the Crobat and the Electromagnetic Radar, searching out a Dedenne here, so they're really digging into their deck to try and find some cards to make use of. Guessing they're looking for something like an escape board to get this Jirachi out of the active and start using that full blitz attack. They also discarded some useful stuff here. They've got the Aurora energy in the deck, so maybe looking to use some other form of attacker, maybe a Mewtwo perhaps. They go with the Tapu Koko and they have the switch into the Pikarom. See a Nest Ball getting out a second Pikarom, and the full blitz attack. We'll have to see where they put this energy. If they put it onto the active, they could certainly go for a Tag Bolt, but instead they opt to go for the benched Pikarom, which is totally fine for me because they definitely could have won if they'd got that Tag Bolt attack off. Now we do have a pretty reasonable hand here. We have the Octillery, and we can make use of this Dowsing Machine so that we can grab ourselves a Nest Ball. So we'll discard both of those, and yep, Nest Ball is the main thing that we want to get here. That'll again allow us to search out a basic Pokemon, and getting a Spinarak into play here is going to be very good for us. We are unfortunately going to be losing this energy, but it's all in the name for getting down a Raticate. We do have everything that we need, which is great in this hand. We get the laser, we get the energy, and the Raticate. So couldn't have been any more perfect there. We get the level ball as well, so we can continue to search out Pokemon. We'll get a second Rattata down. We're going to attach this energy to the active, as well as use Hypnotoxic Laser. That's going to poison our opponent. And we use the Abyssal Hand ability on Octillery to draw 2 cards. Great, we get another Nest Ball, so we can get down something else, maybe a second Spinarak in case one gets knocked out. That seems fine. We don't have any other good targets, so we might as well go with that just in case my opponent targets it down. And we'll go with the Super Fang attack, putting my opponent down to 10 HP, and then the poison knocks them out. That gives us our 3 prize cards. We get a Rattata, a Jirachi, and a Remoraid. So very good prizes. We can certainly make use of all of those, and my opponent's forced to put up a second Pikarom. So if they just go for a full blitz once again, which they do, they don't even play any cards from their hand, they're just going for the full blitz, and this is going to allow us to just go for a Super Fang once again. We just have to find the energy, since we have the Pokemon Communication in our hand, as well as the Hypnotoxic Laser. We get the special charge there, so we can get some energy back into the deck, which I'll do right now. Get to shuffle both of those in, so we have all copies of our energy in the deck, and given that we have a whole bunch of cards to draw the cards from the deck, we should be in a pretty good spot here. We'll put down the Rattata just in case. Also use Pokemon Communication to put Jirachi back in the deck. That'll allow us to get a Raticate. We do still have plenty of those in the deck, and we might as well play down this Remoraid as well, along with the Hypnotoxic Laser, and we can make use of Abyssal Hand here. Well, we can. Let's see what we can get into, and we draw into the energy without even needing a supporter card. going for that Super Fang once again, and that gets the instant knockout on our opponent. And that's all you have to do with the deck. Get 2 big knockouts on a tag team Pokemon and you're able to win over the course of 3 turns. Very powerful deck. Let's get into another battle. Kicking off this second match here, we have a double Rattata start, and it looks like my opponent is playing a Firebox style deck with Scorch VMAX, as they did get a couple of mulligans. And we did choose to go first here, as I do typically say that you want to go second so that you can attack in the expanded format, but going first with this deck, since we have a whole bunch of stage 1 evolutions, is really good for us getting everything set up, using our bone search cards to get down our basic Pokemon. And we can just pass it over to my opponent since we didn't get a crazy start with Stellar Wish or anything, but we do have a bunch of our basic Pokemon in play, and that's all you can really hope for with the deck. My opponent is going for the same approach, using Nest Ball to search out some Pokemon. They also have Welder here to accelerate some fire energy, and again, this is the great kind of deck that we want to be playing against. Deck that gives up multiple prize cards, and they are able to knock us out easily with the Victini, but that's fine because we should hopefully get into a Raticate here, and as soon as we do that and poison our opponent, we can once again use Super Fang. That's really what I love about this deck, is that you're just going along with your own game plan every single turn, every single match as well. Just the same game plan, getting Super Fang and Poison in so that you can guarantee the knockout on whatever deck you're facing down. The only problem comes in when you're against something like a grass deck, and Ariados doesn't actually poison them because it doesn't affect grass Pokemon or anything like that that kind of stops your special conditions. You're going to have pretty much an impossible matchup against that, and you might as well just take it as an auto loss. But hey, if you can win against 90% of every other deck, then you're not going to have a problem. I think we'll go here for a second Remoraid. Since we have both of our artillery in the deck, we might as well look to get both of them set up. And we are losing an energy here unfortunately, but we can make use of this dowsing machine before we use Professor's Research, and we'll get our Nest Ball back and use that to fill our board up once again. Certainly getting down a Jirachi here can be useful, so we'll go for that. And we still have a Spinarak in the deck in case this one gets knocked out as well. We do get the energy and Raticate, as well as a Hypnotoxic Laser, which is exactly what you want to be seeing. Getting everything down that we need. Energy, Hypnotoxic Laser for the instant knockout, and we can even attach this Float Stone and use Abyssal Hand to draw some cards here. See what we get into. We get into another Raticate for the following turn, which is excellent, as well as that second artillery. So we'll go with Super Fang here, as I say, putting them down to 10 HP, and the poison knocks them out. So we get easy 2 prize cards, and of course my opponent concedes because they can't stand up against Raticate. Let's get into another match. Kicking off this match, we were able to go first, and we did Stellar Wish here for the level ball, getting us into the Remoraid. And we are up against a Firebox deck of some sort, as we do see the Reshiram and Charizard in the active spot for my opponent. It's going to be a very easy matchup for us, as we'll once again be able to take multiple prize cards, and we're just going to be looking to get a retreating option on this Jirachi at some point. And we get the Hypnotoxic Laser. We also have the energy that we can make use of, and unfortunately we will have to settle with the Cynthia at the moment. Just looking to get a Float Stone or even an escape board would be great here. Get the Rattata, we can discard my opponent's tool card, as well as using the level ball here, once again getting us into an artillery. That will let us to use Abyssal Hand and try and get some more draws. We'll use Stellar Wish first, and of course we get the escape board, which is excellent. Play that down onto our Jirachi, and we don't need any of these 3 cards, so we can Abyssal Hand here and see what we get into. We get into another Rattata, which is nice. We'll just retreat here, and of course we get to use Super Fang for the instant KO on my opponent's tag team Pokemon, allowing us to take 3 prize cards on the second turn of the match. we get a Raticate, a Remoraid, and an S-Ball. So pretty good prizes to pick up there, all of which are very useful, and we'll see what my opponent opts to do. Perhaps they will also just concede like our previous opponents, but hopefully not, and they try and play it out a little bit further. We do see that they have the Ninetales V here that they can use, and they also have a Charmander here. So their best option of course would be to put up the Charmander, and that would hopefully allow them to have a turn of setting up or doing whatever it is that they want to do. And it looks like they are just mulling over their options here and seeing what they want to promote into the active spot, or perhaps they are just contemplating conceding like our previous opponents. But in fact they do go with the Ninetales V, picking that into the active spot. They're using Heat Factory Prism Star Stadium to discard a fire energy, draw 3 cards. They're building up quite a hand, and of course they concede they have nothing good in their hand to combat us, so unfortunately we do get a lot of concedes against this deck as it is so powerful, but hopefully that is showing off to you guys how powerful the deck is, because you're able to take such easy knockouts on your opponents. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.